Welcome back to Better Than Fiction with Jeanette and Eden. September is over, on to October, the best month of the year, in my opinion.
You are our Halloween person. Now we have Miss Vicky,
Yes.
between Miss Vicky and Miss Eden.
Yeah. Halloween.
But I more look at it as fall is coming.
Yes, yeah.
It's my favorite part of the year.
Yeah.
I love the leaves, love the cool weather. It's just perfect.
I agree. Well, I did pretty good this month. I read more than I have in a while, so that was a big win for me.
Yeah, you got over that slump.
I did. What was my book though? Oh, I read The Dead Romantics by Ashley Poston. That was my number, TBR number. It was okay. I wanted to like it more than I did. I just felt, it was good. Read it if you want something different and quirky, but it's also okay to pass. I've seen a lot of people say it's like one of the best romances, and I would heavily disagree. I've read a lot better stuff. It was about a ghostwriter who falls in love with a ghost, and because she can see ghosts.
That should be a kind of a fun book.
Right.
It had potential
Yeah,
then.
yeah, and I think she tried to put too much in it. So, yeah, but couldn't deliver on it. And then my graphic novel, I chose Juvenile, so I read 2 because they read fast. I read The Garlic and the Witch and The Garlic and the Vampire by Brie Paulson. Very cute humanoid plants that kind of face world troubles. Very cute. This Garlic character, she is terrified of everything out there in the world. She just likes to be in her garden and helping her little garlics grow. And she's always put up to this different quest, and she's very expressive, and yeah, it was just a cute little story about overcoming different fears.
Well, and I will say I watch a bunch of reviewers online to help with book suggestions and stuff. These particular ones have been reviewed by some of the bigger reviewers that do graphic novels, and they are loving them. So while, yes, it's juvenile, they have really attracted a lot of adult attention, I think, in their simplicity. And the illustrations are fantastic.
Yeah.
And I think that plays of course, it's a graphic novel.
Yeah.
It's just beautiful. So these are perfect books for everyone.
For fall. Get you in that fall mood, too, so. Those were cute. One of my most anticipated reads came out was Casey McQuiston's The Pairing. If you've never read anything by this author, or if you've never heard of this author, they wrote Red, White, and Royal Blue, which is now an Amazon show. Great. Also, some of the prettiest,
book covers, books right now
I've ever seen.
They have put these on paperback, which is really rare, but they're just beautiful books.
Yeah, there's a passport on here, and you can read that it says passport.
It's stunning.
I'm obsessed with that. So this was great. It was cool.
Please don't steal our books because they're cool.
Because they're pretty. Let everyone have them. About 2 ex-childhood best friends become partners, and then they break up right before this big Europe trip. So they have 4 years, and they both procrastinated going on the trip. So now they're on the trip together as exes 4 years after a kind of brutal breakup. So it's about them kind of re-meeting each other. They make a sex bet essentially to see who's going to sleep with the most people on the trip.
That's a little bit different if you're not into that.
Yeah. And so,
spoiler alert, but also it's also a trigger there to let you know.
Yeah, it's right here on the. I'm not spoiling anything.
Okay.
It's on the summary. So, and then just how they become friends again and reconnect that way. Very cute. I just love their work, so I recommend that if you like queer romances.
Oh, yes. The book we both were anticipating as an awesome book. We both did get it read this month. And wah, wah, wah.
Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed. I've read another book by her, and I absolutely loved it. I think I talked about it on TBR last year. I don't see it on my list. So last year I read something by her, and I adored it. And this one was such a flop. It didn't even feel like her writing to me.
Well, I was after Eden's, review and reading the premise. I'm going, this ought to be really good. It was so flat and it was so blah. I went, Eden's recommending this writer to me because I have not read anything else by her. And Eden assures me, read something else.
Before.
Don't read this one.
Yeah.
So yes, even though this is a brand new book, and Eden and I have been the only 2 readers, we actually don't recommend it.
Yep.
Unless you want to fall flat.
Yeah. That's a bummer.
Cool cover, cool premise.
Yeah.
Bad story writing.
Yep. Yeah.
Again, pretty book on the interior.
It is, yeah.
So sad.
That's what I was up to this month.
Well, I did finish mine as well, and I'm so excited that the 2 books I have chosen are all checked out at the library. The Russian Doll was my number TBR. Been checked out pretty consistently. It's a great historical fiction with a little bit of a contemporary timeline too, kind of solving a family mystery as they were forced to leave communist Russia soon after the revolution, and then of course the generations later trying to figure everything out and try to understand what happened during that time period. So it's a little bit brutal in some because it does take place in the beginning of Soviet Russia. Highly recommend. It was a very good read. The graphic novel, as you well know, that I'm not typically a graphic novel reader, but I read a book called The Waiting. I will just slaughter the author's last name. It is Korean. It was a biography and absolutely stunning. It's called The Waiting, and it looks at and follows a woman whose story she's telling as an old woman to a daughter who seems very uninterested about leaving people behind. She actually was separated from her husband and her son and ended up crossing the border with only her infant daughter while they were stuck behind. And I learned a little bit about the influence of the Red Cross trying to get like really short visits between people that were separated, the North and South, when it was divided, and how some of those visits went, a lot of them not well because it was so different. And when you leave an infant or a 3-year-old behind, that is not the same. Or when you find out that the reason you cannot be reunited is because they are no longer with us. The lottery system of the Red Cross, even, you had to be over 80, and, because there were so many requests, and it was very traumatizing. The story, the biography itself was stunning. The illustrations were all black and white, which I felt added to the starkness of the story. Wonderful illustrations. I can't say enough about this particular book. It was on our to be reshelved shelf, and I went to look for it this morning, and it's gone. And they're like, yay! Because it hadn't been checked out in a while. Yeah. It's worthy of your time. Even if you're not a graphic novel reader, it doesn't feel weird reading it as a graphic novel. It feels like an enhancement to the story. To the biography, because it is a biography, not a quote story.
Right.
It's just an enhancement. So what I've been reading is trying to get through the short list of the Booker, and I've been winging through those.
Yep.
So I've been happy, enjoying what I read. I think there's only one so far that I went, No, I'm actually listening to The Safe Keep, actually on audio. This is shortlisted because the shortlist came out last week or 2 weeks ago.
I think 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago now. It's not a very big book, but it seems like it's dragging a little bit in audio. I don't mind the reader, but she is a little slower. And I'm at a part now where I think we should be having a little more emotion in our voice, and she still stays a little monotone. Story is wonderful. I knew because it's a Booker, it had to go to one or two ways, and it went one of the two ways, and it was still a little shocking to hear it in audio. So be prepared if you're going to listen to it in audio, and you're not used to listening to potentially romance or a little more graphic romance in audio. Choose the book. The story is fantastic, and it is shortlisted. I also took a gander at 1960s experimental dystopia. Boy, that was hard to read. The author, Anna Cavan, is British. She did struggle with a lot of mental illness, and it came through in her writing, pure and simple. And I highly recommend, if you do want to give, classic experimental dystopian a try, The Forewords Matter. I read the newest edition, which is the 50th anniversary edition, with Jonathan Lethem as the forward writer. Wonderful. Read also the prologue, because it pulls it together, helps you understand the influences of mental illness with her writing, and some of her other writing as well, which I was unfamiliar with. So that was interesting. I had also listened to a book called Monarca, which is Spanish for monarch, and it is a stunning, actually juvenile book about your transformation as a human, what you go through, and also the plight of the monarch butterfly, and climate and environmental changes, but also the human changes on their climate. It was just absolutely stunning to listen to. The cover on the book is stunning. I'm going to purchase it for here at the library, so it will be in our juvenile collection, and highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So we're excited to see what else is next. Yeah. So I have to make a confession, and I keep thinking I'm going to change it every year, so I'll try again. I rely on Goodreads to keep track of my books. I don't know if anyone's been on Goodreads recently or tracking your books. It lags. It lags big time.
I haven't noticed.
And now some of the times even putting your books in, it doesn't want to do it right away. It says it has a problem. It has an error.
Oh,
and
I haven't had that issue.
I have, and it's like now been a couple of months. And so I'm kind of going, I need to do the better tracking in a different way, because I like tracking what I read. We have the reading journals. We also have what BookRight does on a spreadsheet. I'm just really lazy, and Goodreads is easy.
Yeah.
But I'm seeing errors, and usually when that happens with a program, it's starting to fail. They probably cannot handle the massiveness potentially on their servers.
Yeah.
Where is it in priority when Amazon bought it out? I don't know.
Right.
So I will try to get better. If anyone has any motivation, I could use some of that to switch off from the ease of that.
Yeah.
I'm lazy.
There's a lot of different apps.
And I just have to pick one. If anyone has any suggestions or recommendations on As Easy,
Goodreads, yeah.
I'd appreciate it. All right, let's see what we got. All right, which is this one? Our number. We are reading number 10.
Okay.
Number 10. I am reading Ink Sister Scribe, which is fantasy.
Cool. I'll be reading The Lost Ticket by Freya Sampson.
I think mine's going to be a great October read. This has been sitting on my TBR for like a year and a half. So
Nice. I love when you get those.
Yeah. And it looks good, getting great reviews. I just haven't pulled it.
Haven't read it.
A book with a dual timeline.
Ooh.
All right,
Those are fun.
those historical fiction readers, this is for us.
Yeah, it is.
This is for us. Yay. When I redid my bookshelf, I moved our bookshelf, so I had to clear it off, and I put the last few that were on my number TBR in the front, so I don't have to go search and hunt constantly.
Smart.
So hopefully I love historical fiction, so
Yeah.
dual timeline is there.
Yeah.
Or science fiction.
Yeah, they do
Science
too.
fiction does a lot of dual timeline. Fantasy will also do a dual timeline at times. So I think you got some genres to pick from for
Yeah.
dual timelines.
Historical's going to lean the easiest to that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, cool. You're going to be reading your TBR number 10 in a dual timeline book for October.
Hey, pick those Salem witch trial books up.
Yeah.
This is going to be your moment.
Witchy season.
Enjoy October.
Yep. Happy reading.
Happy reading. just finished the most awesome. I want to buy this book.